Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and we have a massive leak on our hands, or it appears that we do, for the upcoming 5.8 update. So before I start showing you guys images and talking about what we can see, before we've seen any of the other sneak peeks, I just want to warn you that I'm going to be showing you what I'm assuming is going to be in the update. There's like 99% chance that this is true. So if you hate leaks, if you hate being spoiled, if you don't want to see these things before you see the sneak peeks, then you should probably just turn off the video now. Okay. So, you've been warned. What are the leaks? Let's check it out. Shout out to my man JD Cool for posting this on the Netmarble forums, but this was posted on Discord, this was posted on Twitter, this was posted on Reddit, this was in Luke Margui's YouTube videos, which is where I originally saw it at like 6 o'clock in the morning, but when I should have been asleep, but I was still awake. So, let's see what is up. We correctly speculated and predicted that Superior Octopus would be coming to the game as per this portrait. Now, of course, with all of these things, with all of the speculation, you have to say, you know, asterisk. There's a possibility that some of this stuff is being saved for later updates. There's a possibility that some of the stuff was just, you know, done as a test and it might not be coming to the game. But I would bet that it is coming to the game. I'm betting. That's what I'm thinking. But I can't say with 100% certainty because these things are just not things that can be taken as certainty. So, before we actually talk about the rest of them, you can see Crossbones peeking out at the bottom there. Before we talk about the rest of them, I want to just briefly discuss how these were found. These images were found through URLs in the Netmarble forum website. So, you know, all of the existing characters in the game now have their portraits downloaded into the forum so that people can post them and so that people can also choose their icons in terms of, you know, the character that they choose to be over here. So you can see mine's Wolverine. So like all of these icons are on the forums, because when you change your icon here, it'll change on the forum as well. And then when you post a comment, your icon will show the character that you've chosen. So Marvel Future Fight, the devs or whoever was responsible for this, made a small mistake, I would say. They either didn't hide the files or they just put them in way too early, and then people found them. So that is how they were found. This wasn't like a hacked email or any sort of leak from someone posting it when they shouldn't have been posting it. They were put where they're supposed to be put. They were just put way ahead of schedule, or maybe they were put in a place that was too easy to find. I'm not 100% sure how it works with websites if everything's easy to find once it's posted there. I'm not 100% sure how they were found, but I'm just letting you know as much as I know. So, let's get into it. Dr. Octopus is getting a uniform. That is absolutely fantastic. He deserves a massive rework. He deserves to be a very strong combat villain, or possibly changing him into a speed villain. I don't really care which one, but we need more strong villains in Marvel Future Fight. And seeing as this update kind of looks like an all-villain update, I would love to see more support villains as well. I don't necessarily want to see a character like Valkyrie who is only a support character, or like Coulson, but I want to see more characters like Ghost Panther, more characters like Ebony, or characters like Nick Fury, who have lots of support qualities but are also good standalone characters. Whether they rework Dr. Octopus into that or not, it doesn't matter. But I'm honestly so hyped for Dr. Octopus. I love Dr. Octopus. You know, the two things that we desperately need in this game. The first thing, of course, is game mode reworks and game mode changes to give us a place to use more of our roster. And then the second thing we need, the second most important thing, is the thing that it seems like we're going to be getting this update for sure, and that is reworks to bad characters. Now, Dr. Octopus is not as bad as like Blade or, you know, Venom, but he's pretty bad. He's pretty weak. So giving him a rework, giving him an update would be great. Remember, he got the Sinister 6 ability tag when Electro was introduced for the Far From Home update. So he could be huge. He could be so strong. He also has the machine tag, which means that he benefits from Ghost's 50% technokinetic leadership. So there could be a lot in store for Superior Octopus. I'm really excited for that one. I'm gonna be maxing out that uniform ASAP. Love the look of Superior Octopus, and I personally love Dr. Octopus in Marvel Future Fight. And then we've got Crossbones next, and this is definitely a new uniform for Crossbones. He looks uglier than ever. And I know Gravity Punches, if you're watching, is, you know, over the moon. He has one of the top Crossbones in the game. He makes videos about Crossbones. He makes detailed guides and skill rotation tips for Crossbones. He's a diehard Crossbones fan. So I'm really happy for him. Whenever characters that are underused, whenever characters that are neglected finally get their chance to shine. I know there are players out there like Evil KLM, like Gravity Punches, who love these characters, and they have that sense of like, it's my turn. So I just really am glad to see that, and I want every player to feel like they have that moment at least in one update in Marvel Future Fight, like, oh, it's my turn, my character is about to shine. So we've still got a long way to go. You know, Sin's never gotten a uniform, Singularity's never gotten a uniform, but we're getting there. We're getting there. This is a good first start, Marvel Future Fight. This is a good first start. I know I'm kind of congratulating you before I see the update, but I just want to say I'm looking at 2 uniforms, and they are both for underused, undervalued characters. That's a good start in my books. And then we have a brand new character, Viper. I don't want to spoil too much about this character. You can look her up, but I'm guessing, or you can guess, if you see a lot of green, then you know this is a character that is associated closely with Hydra. Now, this could be one of the 2 Hydra leaders that were referred to in the first sneak peek. However, they might have just been referring to the green guy who looks like Captain America and Red Skull, but she is technically a Hydra leader. So yeah, this will be interesting to see. This is looking like a female speed villain. I think that would be the best indication for this character. That is a very welcome. Female speed villain is one of the lowest typings that we have. I think female blast villain. No, we have more female blast villains now with Enchantress, Magic, and Emma Frost. I think female speed villain is the smallest. Class. We've got Black Cat, Ghost, and a couple of others, Sin. Anyways, I don't know, but yeah, we need more female speed villains. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We need more villains as well. So yeah, this is good. This is good. We've got the uniform for Red Skull, as we assumed from the first sneak peek. Really, really cool there. So we can see like right away, out of 4, you've got 1, 2, 3 uniforms for underused characters and their villains. I just like, this is so good. This is exactly what we could have wanted. And you know, I am a little bit overhyped about this because yeah, they're still just characters, and you know, even if they get big reworks, we still only have like World Boss, GBR, and a couple of game modes to play them in. But this is the first. This can be the first step, right? Because game modes take longer to test, and game modes take longer to refine and make better. So, you know, we can't expect them to turn around very next update and come up with a really great game mode, especially since they spent all of last update reworking the story mode. The story mode isn't really for veteran players, it's for new players, but you know, you still have to recognize that things take time to be worked on. So I would rather see this. This is a really good first step. You know, get like 10, 20 bad characters reworked, heroes and villains, and then, you know, the 3rd or the 4th update of the year, maybe the 5-year anniversary update, we get a big, massive rework to 1 or 2 game modes. You know, Conquest and ABX get reworked, and suddenly the game is like, you know, insanely unique, and there's so much variety now because you've got, instead of 30 or 40 characters, you've got 60 or 70 that you're going to use every day anyways, almost half the roster, plus you have all these new places to play them in. So yeah, I am getting overhyped on the one hand, but on the other hand, it doesn't really matter which step you do first as long as you do both steps, reworking bad characters and reworking bad game modes. Moving along, Helmet Zemo. Helmet Zemo? Sounds like I'm saying it wrong, but anyways, Baron Zemo is apparently coming to the game. I don't know if this is going to be for this update or not. This would be crazy if it is. Very classic villain. We saw him, of course, in Civil War. He, you know, sparked that feud between Captain America and Iron Man in the movie, not in the comics. But yeah, an instrumental piece, and you know, one of those guys always hanging around with it when you're talking about Hydra, when you're talking about AIM, when you're talking about the forces in the dark and the shadows trying to manipulate things, sort of like the puppet masters. It'll be really cool to see how strong Baron Zemo is. He's probably going to be a combat villain, but again, he could be a speed villain. We could be getting a huge speed villain resurgence. At least 2 of these characters, these new characters, could be speed villains. We could be seeing more. We could see some crossover as well. He could arguably be a speed villain. So I'm really excited. And then one of the biggest surprises, Taskmaster. Now, I don't think we've ever seen the portrait for Taskmaster. This is important because we know the Taskmaster sort of full character model is in the game for Battle World, but I don't think they've ever made a portrait for a character, and they usually only make a portrait for a character when they are either going to be introduced into the game, which means they need a portrait like you can see up here, or they are a summon. So in the case of Melinda May, and you might have seen Melinda May kicking around as one of the characters teased for this update, Melinda May is a summonable character And she also was a striker in the old story mode. So that's why they created a portrait for her, because her portrait pops up when it says Melinda May Striker. But that's like, we're talking like way back now, because they changed the story mode. But yeah, Melinda May not coming in any update, I think. This is not an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. update, I don't think. But yeah, Taskmaster could be coming. And this is actually possibly a really good thing, because rather than introducing Taskmaster and his uniform for the movie, for the MCU Black Widow movie, in the same update like they did for Minerva, like they did for Nick Fury, you know, rather than doing that, which I think some players don't really like because they never get to play the character without the uniform, I think this is a really smart move by Marvel Future Fight to release Taskmaster now. We get a few months playing with him, we can appreciate him, we can see how strong he is, and then boom, we get that modern MCU crossbow or whatever bow wielding sort of hockey mask wearing, looking like Casey Jones Taskmaster that we see in the Black Widow trailer when he pops up out of the sunroof of the car to shoot at someone. I think that's a much better way of doing it, and it also doesn't waste the time of the developers, because I feel like for a lot of devs, I feel like a lot of players, they never get to experience what the devs meant when they designed the character originally. So what I mean by that is I purchased Minerva's uniform instantaneously, right? Because it was a clear, I mean, this is a good character, but it's a clear upgrade. So I never got the chance to enjoy and play around with this uniform. And if they had just delayed it by a couple of months or introduced Minerva a couple of months earlier, I mean, they can't do that in the case of the Black Widow movie, or they can't do that in the case of all movies. They can, I guess, with this Black Widow movie, but if they have the chance in the future, I would encourage them to do it more, because I think the player base can really appreciate it. I think it actually drives more sales of the character, especially if the character is not free to play, like if they're a bio-sub character or whatever, Crystal. It definitely drives more sales, because if you miss him the first time, a few months later he gets a uniform, you're like, man, I can't miss out on Taskmaster twice. So I think this is the best call, and I'm really excited. Again, another villain, hopefully a combat villain as well. Could be Speed, though. There's definitely going to be the challenge that the devs have to illustrate his skills properly, because he has like physical mimicry where he can see a move that you do and then copy it. That's really hard to translate into the comics. I mean, they could barely do it properly in Spider-Man PS4, and they have the PS4 hardware and years of you know, designing it and changing it and refining it and improving it. And the Taskmaster fight is just like a small mini game. It's not even like a major thing. So the devs definitely have their work cut out for them with Taskmaster. Hopefully they will do him justice. Okay, there's Melinda May right there. Perfect. And then the last one, the one that I think a lot of people are disappointed about, if you follow the link, if you follow the hyperlink for this image, you will see that the URL says, I think it says CA and then underscore S10, which would stand for Captain America suit number 10. Suit meaning uniform. Now, again, I'm gonna reserve my final reaction. I don't want to start dumping on them right away, because the rest of this update is looking amazing and super spicy. Like 6 villains back to back, multiple uniforms for underused characters. Come on. I don't want to ruin that. I don't want to ruin that beautiful parade by getting all salty over Captain America possibly getting another uniform and getting a villain uniform. I think it's unnecessary. But someone on Reddit did make a pretty good point, although I usually disagree with people on Reddit. But I was, you know, browsing a little bit to see people's reactions to this leak, because I still want to get, you know, the community's reaction. And there are some people in the community on Reddit, and they basically said, you know, is it better to get a uniform for Captain America that you might need or might not need, so you can either get it or pass up on it? It's really your choice. It's 1,000 crystals. Or would you rather they spend resources to introduce a brand new character that's probably never going to get a uniform, that's probably not going to be strong enough to do anything outside of, you know, maybe stage 30, 40, 50 world boss, and maybe stage, you know, whatever, 40, 50, 60 of Shadowland? You know, that also speaks to the fact that the game Marvel Future Fight doesn't have a lot of game modes for all of the roster, so that could actually be a criticism of the low number of, you know, inclusive game modes and variety game modes that we have. So maybe if the game modes were better, maybe if Conquest was better, maybe if Timeline Battle was better, it would be better to get a new character rather than another uniform for Captain America. But given the current state of game modes in Marvel Future Fight, I would rather they save those precious few new character slots for really classic characters. I mean, I don't care that much. Not a lot of people were hoping, like desperately hoping, that the Hydra agent was going to be his own character, whereas, you know, people have been begging for Taskmaster and Baron Zemo in Marvel Future Fight for a long time. There probably more people were begging for Viper than this guy anyway. So I can sort of see both sides of the equation. Now, if you just ask me as a question, does Captain America need a uniform? No, of course not. We all know that. We all know Captain America doesn't need any more uniforms. But then if you ask the question differently, if you phrase the question differently, do you want it to be a uniform that you can skip and pass up on and keep using Mjolnir wielding Cap? Or would you rather they waste one of the character slots? Because as we've seen recently in the past year plus, they're not really releasing updates with more than 3 characters anymore, unless it's an epic quest, or, you know, rarely the Warriors of the Sky was 4. But we're getting 3 characters per update now, and that might even dwindle down to 2 because the roster is just getting too big. And it's, you know, it's just gonna cause problems if you go too fast and you add too many characters per update. So yeah, I think I'm okay with this being a uniform, especially if it's something that you can pass up on, that doesn't actually, you know, completely overpower the endgame Captain America. We'll have to see how strong it is. If it's as strong as endgame Captain America, but it makes him a villain, then that just gives the character more utility, a la Namor. But we'll have to wait and see. But man, I gotta say, I am really insanely hyped for these characters. I really hope they do Taskmaster justice. I really hope they do Baron Zemo justice. But most of all, I really hope Red Skull, Crossbones, and Dr. Octopus are strong. I really want to make content pushing game modes and you know, pushing difficulty with them and seeing them shine. I want to see him slapping around Galactus and shit. And then yeah, Viper as well. I mean, this update is insane. All villains, I love it. And hopefully new game modes coming soon will make these characters be even more beloved. So yeah, I gotta say, I'm like 9.5 out of 10 on the hypometer. You know, I always get overhyped for updates, but this one's pretty juicy. I gotta say, this one's something out of my dreams. So let me know what you think of the leaks. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.